From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
We're just a few hours away from the fourth stimulus check package and the fifth stimulus check package being debuted to the American people, at least in oral form, not in bill form, as the president has his joint session before Congress and debuts your fourth stimulus package. The fourth stimulus package, not from the president but from Congress, will give you monthly stimulus checks. The fifth stimulus package, not from the president but from Congress, would give you SSI reform. But what happened in the last few minutes? In the last few minutes, major developments about a new twist about the fifth stimulus package. You're going to hear them for the first time only in this recording, and your jaw is going to drop. Meantime, you're going to hear why one corporate earnings that came in minutes ago from Ford could signal a lot of detail and a lot of insight as to whether you're going to get stimulus checks from now to the end of the year or potentially into next year. Really shocking developments, and I'm so excited for you to join me. Meantime, I'll be jumping into the live chat and interacting with you and answering your questions as we get underway with Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? Hope you're having a beautiful day. I'm so excited you're joining me on Afternoons LALATE. Boy, it's a big day. After this is the second Afternoons LALATE show, and that's going to be a big one. That's in 2 hours from now. You don't want to miss that show. It's going to be going over the fifth stimulus package in detail. I have all the details before the president's announcement to members of Congress tonight. Then we go into Evenings LA 2 hours after that. And then for the first time, only tonight, I'm going to have a special live recording of the president's announcement of the fourth and fifth stimulus package. That's between Evenings LA and before late night. So make sure you subscribe. I don't want you to miss any of these big shows coming up later today. Also, like this video. The competition's heating up and you want this show to rank number one. So let's try to do 3,000 likes. Thank you for the 395,000 subscribers. Just 5,000 away from 400,000. Very exciting. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. In this recording, I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to broadly go over the fourth stimulus check, those monthly stimulus checks, and then I'm broadly going to go over the SSI reform. But what I want to go over with you especially is a roadmap of why there's so many bills at issue for fourth and fifth stimulus happening in just the last few minutes, because I think you need a roadmap to understand where things are. There's so many things happening in literally the last few hours, you can get confused. I was confused. So I want to make it very simple for you. Additionally, I want to go over one major development that happened minutes ago, and I'm going to start with that. Ford Motor Company just reported corporate earnings for Q1 2021. They were through the roof. They're incredible, great news. Incredible, great news. But here's why Ford is trading down, and this is why it impacts your stimulus. They said that for Q2, the second quarter this year, they're anticipating they can only sell half of the amount of cars that they need to sell or that they want to sell or that they can't sell. Why? Because of a chip shortage. I've been hinting at this chip shortage as a big issue about the lack of economic recovery and how it could slow down our economic recovery. And for the first time minutes ago, one major corporation showed us that this economy may not rebound at the current growth rate we're even at now if this chip shortage remains proliferating throughout this economy over the next few months. Very serious. You can't have economy. You can't make money. You can't sell things if there's a chip shortage. It concerns the labor workforce and concerns everyone. So this is a risk that you need to consider, but it's good for stimulus. It means potentially that stimulus for you, stimulus checks may be needed into next year if we're rebounding slower because of chip shortage. Added to chip shortage is also the news that a lot of the ports are backed up and that they can't get things distributed across the country. If you can't get things distributed, the economy is not going to rebound at the current rate. This is a risk that no one is considering except you and I, and now Wall Street's starting to look at it. It's beyond just the lack of labor, it's also the issue of chip shortage. All right, let's get to the breaking news about forced stimulus. Tonight, the President of the United States will address the American people about 2 stimulus packages in one speech. Why 2 in one speech? Because the speech is only once a year, and he doesn't have an opportunity to do it again until next year. Both of these stimulus packages are this year. The first one is the 4th stimulus package. It's May to July. The next stimulus package is the 5th one, and that is September to December. What do you need to know? First, let's go over the names so you know which one is which. And trust me, the president's going to call it one thing and a different thing 2 days later. The 4th stimulus package is the one that starts in May and ends in July by reconciliation. It's the American Jobs Plan. It's also the American Recovery Act. It's also the infrastructure bill. That's the one we're doing now. The September one, that will take 2 months for recon, so won't be done till about November, is the American Family Plan. It's also what I told you in 2020 when he got elected, is the teacher's plan, because it's mostly about schools. All right, now you know both of them. The other thing you need to know is both will 100% go by reconciliation. Why will they go by reconciliation? Because they're very, very partisan. In fact, we're learning in the last few minutes, they're much more partisan than we ever would have thought. First, they're revising a lot of the stuff of the prior administration, which is a partisan move. Second, the price tag is astronomical. $8 trillion being spent by the president over 5 stimulus packages, between the 3rd, 4th, and 5th stimulus package in just 6 months. $8 trillion, can you imagine? So very, very partisan. They're going to go by reconciliation. So here's what you need to know about tonight's live broadcast, which will be covered on this channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock West Coast time. The president will not be talking about, in the 4th stimulus package, checks. Why? Because Congress is going to put them in there. He's not writing the bill. He's only proposing what he wants put in the bill for infrastructure. Congress says they're putting the stimulus checks in there. Then under the 5th stimulus package in September that he's going to talk about, he's not going to mention SSI reform at all. The Congress is going to put the SSI reform in there. So now you understand which bill is which. You understand the bills haven't been written, and you understand that the items that are covered on this channel will be put in by Congress. Now, before you get any settled into that complacency of saying, I understand it so far, hit me with the most confusing part, LA. Here comes the confusing part. Minutes ago, Representative Neal, that guy from last night on LA Late Night, Representative Neal got a very unusual push. No less than 7 Democratic senators came forward and said they're supporting Representative Neal's change to the 5th stimulus package to provide $70,000 to young children over 17 years. Oh boy, let me recap. Under the 5th stimulus package, the president was trying to give $70,000 to newborn children all the way up to age 17. His administration said you can't do it. So they came back and said do 6 years. That's what I've been showing you on this channel, $24,000. Now, tonight, the president will tell the American people his 5th stimulus has 4 years, has 6 years, which is $24,000. Well, guess what's happening behind the scenes? Democratic senators saying we're going to amend it when they get it by recon and make it 17 years of $75,000. Oh boy. Here's what's also happening minutes ago, is that there's a new report out that says that the 5th stimulus package will impact you by the bottom line when we talk about taxes, despite what the president's saying. Earlier today, I explained to you that the president promised to you on the campaign trail that the 5th stimulus package would not touch anyone who makes less than $400,000. But we have already seen that the 5th stimulus package does. It does. The 5th stimulus package will raise the tax rate on the high end for a husband and wife who make $600,000. Husband and wife make $600,000. That's $300. The president said he wasn't going to touch anything under 400,000 individual. He is. He's touching it at 300,000 individual. If it's a married couple, 300, 300. He's raising your tax bracket from 37 to 39.6. He also said he wasn't going to touch the capital gains unless you individually made over $1 million. We're also learning that's not true. He's doing that for the whole household. So if your household is 4 people and you're making 250, 250, 250, or married couple, 500, 500, he's touching it. He's going lower than he promised during the campaign trail. All right, let's go to the good news. The 4 stimulus checks, those monthly stimulus checks, and I'll be answering your questions in just a second. Those House members want to give you a stimulus check of $2,000 the first month and $1,000 thereafter. The senators, the amount of the monthly stimulus check is unknown, but word on the street is it's going to look like this. Now, in the context of what I just led with, you understand that these stimulus checks pale in comparison. The president tonight will be talking about spending $24,000 on young children. Those senators are trying to spend $70,000 on their young children. Well, what is the 4th stimulus going to do? It's going to give you $2,000 over 6 months, or $12,000. $1,400 over 6 months, or $8,400. This is incredible, great news. This is the single biggest payout you ever see on the history of this channel. And now you see the context of what I've been telling you over the recent days. The House members want to give you a stimulus check for the end of the pandemic plus 1 year. The senators want to do a stimulus check to December. As you look at these numbers and say, you know, it looks like a lot of money. It's not a lot of money. Now you see, in comparison, how much money the president wants to spend for other issues. What you're hearing for the first time today on this channel, because it just surfaced today, is the president, in addition to wanting to spend $24,000 on young children, also wants to pay, you ready for this, 6 months of paid sick leave if your extended family member dies. So he wants you to be able to stay at home if your cousin dies and collect 6 months of salary. It's an enormous amount of money across the board. And it takes this amount of money, pale in comparison. Who gets these stimulus checks? 75,000 or less, this is you. Household 4 or less, this is you. If you're on SSI or SSDI, this is you. I'm going to jump into live chat with you in just 10 seconds. But here, let me see if I can answer these questions before I hear them, because these are generally the questions I get. When would the checks start? July. When would the vote be? July. No later than July 4th, says Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi. When would they start this? May. They got it. It's a reconciliation. It takes 2 months. Why does it have to take 2 months? Because of reconciliation. That's the way Congress was established. It's a 2-step process. It just takes that long. When would I get the first check? July. Would they come out in waves? No, they can't come out in waves. They're coming monthly, so they don't have the leisure to send them out in waves. They have to hit across the board. Is this income? No, it's not income. It doesn't count towards income. Is it taxable? It's not taxable. Will it disqualify me from benefits? No, it will not. Then I've also gotten questions. Is that amount you show on the screen for the whole family? No, it's per person. Married couple, you double that number. Family of 4, you put it times 4. Do adult dependents and minor dependents get it? Yes, absolutely. And then people ask me, how would I physically get it? We don't know. My guess is they're going to do the Harris-Sanders plan, which was send a debit card and then replenish it throughout the months. And that is your 4th stimulus check. That 4th stimulus check that will be added by congressional leaders. Let me jump into the live chat with you right now and answer you some of your questions. Let me see some of the questions you may have about 4th stimulus. And I see Miss Marie, and I see Claire, and I see Gail, and I see American Patriot. And there's Ann, and there's Gail. And there's Mwanda, and there is another Claire. There's Photo. Is there a secret on how to notify IRS of the direct deposit info? Says Photo Talk. If you need to update your direct deposit info, filing a tax return is the best way to do it. Claire says we need to do the recon process. What about the $50,000 student loan debt forgiveness? Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. I'll get to that in about 10 seconds. Great. Thank you for reminding me to cover that. Carla, well, Marie, just rotate. There we go. I would love to collect the 3rd stimulus. Yes, if you've not got to the 3rd stimulus, file that tax return. When does Veterans Rapid Retraining Program start? I don't know what that is. Lynn, we need that SSI reform in the fourth stimulus package. Lynn Glenn, I agree. It should have been in the third stimulus package. Do you think that there's any chance they can do a 360 on us and not give us the one last check or no checks, says Kyle. It's always a possibility with these people. Here's what you need to know is that these are legislators and they have consistently changed their story on us many times before. And that ultimately all I can do is tell you what they say. I'm not your legislator. Trust me, if I was, you would have had your checks since March of last year. These legislators have changed their stories a lot. And there have been legislators who have promised things and then sort of ran for the hills. So there's always a possibility of that. But when you have a lot of people who all want the same thing and they're requesting it on a regular basis, that's a better sign. As opposed to, a needle in a haystack, like one request and then you don't hear it ever again. Let's go and turn that $50,000 student loan debt forgiveness. No update. No update. That Miguel Cardona letter to the president that was due 2 weeks ago, still not being produced. Not particularly cool by Miguel Cardona, your education secretary. Remember, the president had ordered Cardona to prepare that memo to say whether a president can forgive student loan debt by executive order. Has not been done. Not been done. And that executive order was going to say the obvious. Can a president do it? Of course he can do it. Trump did it. Obama did it. Why do we need to wait for the letter? Here's also what's, it sort of tees up an answer to the viewers, the prior viewers' question is, do you think they could do a 360 on us? Here's an example. Why is Chuck and Liz not hammering this as hard as I am for student loan debt forgiveness? This is their baby. Student loan debt forgiveness is absolutely their baby. They've been meeting the president 3 times, 4 times since December. They've introduced a bill in the Senate. They've introduced a bill in the House. They've had 5 YouTube videos or 4 YouTube videos on the subject matter. Why are they not hitting the story every single day? So this is an example of how legislators seem to just do a topic, get off of it for 3 weeks, then come back and then get off of it. So the one thing I don't particularly like is that Chuck and Liz have not been on subject matter for student loan debt forgiveness as often as I have, and I'm not the legislator. Anne-Marie Martin, welcome to Purple Hawk. How are you, Anne-Marie? Let me answer some more of your questions. Dave, is anyone waiting on their third stimulus check that has a perpetual, you're eligible for the payment message? So if you've gone to the IRS tool and it does not show it's going out, and you do a transcript trick, and it still shows no information, you're going to have to file that tax return. Anne says, Miguel, do your homework. I love that. What's going on? I just got here, Cindy Ann. Oh, we were giving away some Bentleys, Cindy Ann. And someone got a Rolls. We're on to Bentleys now. There was a Ferrari earlier. I'm sorry you missed all that. Where's the $1,700 for college students, says Sandra. Oh, Sandra, I'm glad you asked that question. So earlier today, I did a video, and I think I have one coming up tonight, but I want to go over that video. I want to go over those topics right now. Somewhere along the line, someone confused viewers, not me. I think it's another channel. I know who it is. That people automatically are getting particular checks. And I want to clarify that subject right now because it's a great question. First, the question the viewer just asked was, when are we getting the $1,700 for college students? Never. It's not an automatic check. It's not an automatic check. There are only 2 automatic checks under the third stimulus pact, under the third stimulus law. The first one is a stimulus check, and the second one is the child's check if you file tax returns and they know the child exists. All the other checks, you have to physically do something with pen and paper to get them. The college student check, you have to reach out to your college advisor. You can't it will not come to you automatically in the mail just because you're alive and you're a student. Not going to happen. The second one is what I just touched on, the children's check of $3,600. If you don't file tax returns and IRS doesn't know that child exists, or you do file tax returns and the IRS still doesn't know that child exists, you got to do something. And that do something is reach out to your tax preparer. You need to file the appropriate tax return to alert the IRS of the existence of the child. It's $3,600. It's a lot of money. Finally, the $10,200 of unemployment. Oh boy. This is really, every time I control myself because I want to lose it. I literally want to lose it. I don't know if the YouTube channels that are saying these things simply are very uninformed, very uneducated, or simply know it's totally untrue and are just trying to sell you snake oil. What they're saying is that people are getting $10,200 checks in the mail in May. 100% categorically untrue. It's untrue. First, let me explain what the $10,200 is, and let me explain what's actually coming in the mail. If you filed a tax return for 2020 and paid taxes on your unemployment, then you are getting a refund of the amount of taxes you paid on that unemployment. Let's make that clear again. First, you have to have filed a tax return. So if you didn't file a tax return, you're not getting anything in the mail. Second, if you filed the 2020 tax return and paid taxes on the unemployment, you didn't pay $10,000 in taxes. You paid $60 in taxes, or $100 in taxes, or $1,000 in taxes, or $400 in taxes. That is what you're getting back in the mail for the proportion that you paid on unemployment. Here's to make it even simpler. That you're not getting $10,200 back in the mail. You're getting the taxes you paid on the $10,200 back in the mail, which could be $80, $90, $100. So some people are literally telling people they're getting $10,000 checks in the month of May. Oh boy. God bless those people. I think Sirloin does better research than that. All right, let me jump back into the live chat and interact with you and see some more of your great questions across the board. Will the eviction moratorium be extended, says Robert? They say they're not. They say the concept of providing the rent under the third stimulus was to end the eviction moratorium. So I would anticipate that the eviction moratorium is currently set to expire. But I would get yourself ready for where we are currently, which is the belief that the eviction moratorium is not going to get extended, that they have no intention of extending it, and that the reason why they did the rent under the third stimulus was because they want to get rid of the eviction moratorium and mortgage forbearance as well. The rent is, if it has not landed where you live, it's supposed to come in May. Let me see some more of your questions. I see Bonita, I see Dean, and there's Kathy. They also said we're not getting a fourth stimulus check. I told him he didn't know what he was talking about, and he peed me off. Who is that? I have no idea who that is. Fed is paying Fed taxes back some states, but are not. Oh, T. Fisher, great comment. So T. Fisher is talking about the $10,200. The $10,200 is for federal taxes, not for state taxes. Tina says, I paid $1,000 in taxes on my unemployment. Oh, okay. So if you paid $1,192, Tina, in federal taxes for your unemployment, not for all your taxes, but for that portion that was for the unemployment, then that's coming back to you. Remember, it's not all your taxes coming back to you. It's that portion that was for the unemployment. Let me see some more of your questions. Where are the $200 checks? Not happening. Not happening. MSC, those multiple stimulus checks, is the most important thing that's happening right now. Let's go back to that graphic for multiple stimulus checks. Remember, who gets these multiple stimulus checks? SSI and SSDI, Social Security and Railroad Benefits. This is you. This is you. This is the single biggest payout you've ever seen in the history of this channel. Here we go. Stimulus checks from July to December. Word on the street says senators will pay $2,000 a month or $1,400 a month, $12,000 or $8,400. So please get behind those senators and those House members to get those stimulus checks. This is you if you are on SSI or SSDI. If you make less than $75,000 or household of 4 or less, this is you. This is what you want to get behind. Let me jump back into the live chat. Robert, thank you for the rent scoop. Oh, I appreciate that. Lynn Glenn, I keep on pushing them for the SSI reform in the fourth stimulus. Oh, good, Lynn. I don't think it's going to happen. They want to put in fifth stimulus, and so that's where it's going to go. Is there a bill for the SSI reform? Jacqueline, no, there is no bill for fourth stimulus, and there is no bill for fifth stimulus. We would not see the bill until it starts the process. And let me explain the process. Remember, when you do a recon, it's a two-step process. Step 1 is one bill. Step 2 is a second bill. Until they start the recon, there is no bill. There'll be memos, there'll be proposals, there'll be, letters, but those aren't bills. When we're talking about fourth stimulus, May to July, when do they write it? They'll write the procedural bill in May, which says, do you agree to do a recon? Yes. Do you agree to do a recon? Yes. Sign the president? Sign. Then they go back and write the substantive bill. What is in the forced stimulus package? And remember, the forced stimulus package bill may or may not have those stimulus checks in there. The House members can put them in the bill, but even if it's not in there, it's put in during the amendments when it gets to the Senate by recon. Now, in the case of fifth stimulus, no one's asked me this question, so I'm gonna ask myself. In the case of fifth stimulus, would the SSI reform go by amendment during the vote-a-rama in the Senate, or would it start at the beginning of the second step? I think it would start at the beginning of the second step. So for September, remember they would first do the procedural bill. Do you agree to do a recon, House? Yes. Do you agree to do a recon, Senate? Yes. Off to the president's sign. That bill is done. The first bill is done. Then they got to go back and do the second bill. Second bill, now we're agreeing on what the substantive part of the fifth stimulus package is. I think that's there where they're going to slide that SSI reform in there. I don't think this is something so simple you should slide in by vote-a-rama amendment. I think it will likely start. So when would you actually see that, the actual document? Let's see. I would say if the president doesn't delay for trying to get bipartisan support, which he isn't, you could see it in October. If not, you would see it maybe early November. But I think you would see it in October. Let me jump back into the live chat and interact with you some more. If you're just joining me, we're going over the fourth stimulus package and the fifth stimulus package, and I'm answering your questions about how we do these things. How can I get a loan? I drove for DoorDash and Grubhub and Postmates last year, but I haven't started driving again today for DoorDash. Brian, easy question, Brian. Go to sba.gov right now after this recording and look for the EIDL loan. The applicant will be your name. The business name will be your name. The Social Security number will be your Social Security number. Line 1 of your Schedule C will be your gross revenue. It'll ask that. Line 2 will be your cost of goods sold. That's line 2 of your Schedule C. And if you take your time and go through it and watch some old EIDL loan videos on this channel, you could literally get approved within 24 hours. It's line 1 of your Schedule C minus line 2 divided by 2. That's how much they'll give you. So if you made $8,000 last year and it cost you nothing to run it, then 8,000 minus 0 divided by 2, they'll give you $4,000 loan in literally lickety split. Thank you for the super chat. I think I saw super chat. Where was it? Oh, Scott. How are you, Scott? Thank you for the super chat. Very, very kind. PEBT California. PEBT is now national, and PEBT is a manual add-on for SNAP. So reach out to Department of Agriculture in California and ask them about that. American Patriot. I already filed my 2020 taxes. What can I do to get the third stimulus? Oh, that's a great question, American. We don't know the answer to that. IRS said, don't file an amended return. We're going to tell you how to do it. They've yet not done it. The presumption is you would do an amended return and request it. But IRS said, don't do it yet. We're going to tell you how to fix it. Either you would do an amended return or just wait a little bit longer. I would also go to irs.gov to see if there's new guidance. They didn't have the guidance as of a few days ago. I got turned down for the EIDL loan, but I got 2 PPP loans. T. Fisher, that's also a good comment for the viewer before, who is Postmates. Yes, you can also consider a PPP, which starts as a loan and turns into a grant. LALATE, is the fourth stimulus checks subject to debt collectors? Robert Fiengo, we don't know anything about the nuances of the provision yet. So child support, all those type of questions, we just don't know yet. Sharon Colon, don't forget to hit that like button. Yes, thank you, Sharon. There's Linda. In regards to fifth stimulus, SSI reform, my husband and I both are on SSI benefits. Also, he collects SSDI, small benefit. How much would we receive if they took the marriage penalty away? Oh boy. I don't know. I don't know. Viewers have been asking me how much specifically their check would be. I don't know. And I don't know that you could know either, if I'm making that clear. I don't know that you can know either. The language of the letter that explains how much they're going to raise your benefits to, you may not be able to figure out how to calculate it. I couldn't figure out how to calculate it because it's a little too complicated. That's the first thing. Second, the marriage penalty. If you do have the marriage penalty, you should be able to know its impact on you. If you don't know it, I would call up your benefits number and ask them how much you're suffering for the marriage penalty, and they should be able to indicate that to you. But those calculations are those are tough calculations for me to do. So the answer is I don't know. John, LA, I was turned down for PPP. I have a Schedule C, but not a business account back in 2020. You don't. That's a great question from John. You do not need to have a business account to have a PPP. Here's what you need to know about the PPPs. There is a lot of PPP lenders, and you could reach out to one PPP lender and they'll say, you qualify, but we don't like to write for your type of business. They'll say that. And then you'll reach out to another PPP lender and they'll say, we do write for your type of business, but we don't qualify, we don't think. And then you reach out to another and they will write for you. PPP has a whole universe of people that do want to write and then don't want to write. So if you're having problems with PPP, just reach out to another person. But for purposes of personal versus business account, that's not true. If your business was your name, and well, of course it was your name. You said Schedule C. So John, your Schedule C is your personal. You declared it as a schedule to your personal return. It should not be a business account. That's actually wrong information that PPP lender is saying to you. Here's what John's situation is. He has a personal return. He has a Schedule C attached to it. That means he has a side business as an individual. John's side business. It's not John LLC. It's just John. John also does something. It's a side hustle. So this lender said, where is the John LLC business account? There is no business account. It's him individually. So here's an example. Uber and Lyft. John drives Uber and Lyft and made $8,000. Schedule C. Why doesn't John have a business account? He doesn't have a business account. There's no reason to have a business account. It's a Schedule C. He's the one driving the car. It's not a business driving the car. There's no corporation driving the car. It's John driving the car. So that's a very bad PPP lender. Reach out to another one right away. And thank you for that question. And thank you for joining me on Afternoons LA. Wow, that's already 32 minutes there. Join me tonight as we really deliver some big programming. Tonight's going to be a big night, folks. It's going to be a very, very big night. So let me show you where we're going to do. We have Afternoons LA's big recording, and I'm going to go all over the real big developments of what's coming tonight from this president. It's a big preview. I have all the provisions for you in advance of his speech. It's going to take 2 recordings. So the first half will be in Afternoons LA, which is coming up in about 2 hours from now. Then Evenings LA Late will have the second part of what to anticipate before the president's speech tonight. I will go line item by item of what's in the fifth stimulus package. I'll also explain to you what he's going to do with fourth stimulus tonight. Then after Evenings LA, I'm going to go live with you at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock on the West Coast, and carry his live announcement with you. And then after that is LA Late Night, our irreverent humor-only broadcast. It's only humor, no information. So if you jump in the chat and say, I didn't find out any information from a talking cow, well, that's because it's a talking cow. It's a humor-only show. And with that, thank you for your great questions. I loved interacting with you. It's always one of my favorite things of this channel is interacting with you. And if you miss this show live, join me tomorrow. Same time, same place. And I'll bring your questions then. I'll answer them tomorrow. And if you were in the live chat and you thought, I forgot to ask that question, bring it tomorrow. And I'll interact with you as well. Meantime, I'm also in the live chat of tonight's tape shows as well. Make sure you subscribe. 395,000. Wow. Let's do 400. Also like this video. Help the video appear higher in the rankings. The competition's heating up. Help us rank high. And if you did not watch this morning's shows, Morning to LA was absolutely incredible. And then Noontime, they're now archived on the channel. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused. Thank you for joining me, and stay here in just 2 hours from now for Afternoons LA.